premise of the book that you write is that Marx should be viewed as a figure of the past and not as a prophet of the future.
Yes.
What does that mean? If you can give us the context of that and what that thesis is all.
Yeah, people, most of the time when people think about Marx, they sort of imagine Marx as like our contemporary. If you're pro-Marx, it's this guy who is deeply foretold the future and is foreseen, I don't know, the global financial crisis of 2008, which is actually pretty good for an ordinary person and not a wizard that you can look 160 years into the future and see this. And so he's this sort of person who's like the keen guide to the contemporary world. If you don't like Marx, he's a villain. He's the guy behind Stalin's and Mao's mass murder, totalitarianism. He's contemporary, but a very bad one. One might say if you like him, he's Nelson Mandela. If you don't, he's Saddam Hussein. I prefer to think of Marx as somebody like another great German intellectual figure, Martin Luther, a titanic figure, an important influence in shaping the modern world. But to be honest, today, I don't think anybody really cares a lot about Luther's theological subtleties, and my apologies to any Lutherans who might happen to be listening to this. But things like justification by grace alone are no longer a burning issue, yet we can recognize that Martin Luther was somebody, sort of man of often very medieval ideas who at times unintentionally shaped the modern world. Karl Marx, a figure of the early 19th century, whose worldview was shaped by the heritage of the French Revolution, by the early experience of industrialization in Great Britain, by the theories of political economy of Adam Smith and David Ricardo, especially David Ricardo, was an individual, I think, of the first half of the 19th century. His vision of the future was largely the radical phase of that period of European history. And so he's also a figure who unintentionally shaped the modern world, although he was sort of shaped by a very past view. So that's how I would look at Marx.